Okay everybody, this is not a drill. We are officially in the endgame now, and this episode proves it. This was honestly the first episode in the entire season that's made me feel like the end is near, and that's probably because it is. We've only got 4 episodes left until the season finale. And as sad and scary as that might be, this episode did give us a lot to chew on and answered some questions that have been lingering for a long time. So let's dive into this week's episode of The Owl House, Edge of the World. In this episode, Luce finally reveals to the Owl House crew what she and Hunter saw in Belos' mind. Luce is insistent upon preparing for the fight, but all Eda and Lilith want is for the kids to get as far away as possible, knowing that the Emperor will be coming soon. King discovers the lost letter addressed to him and sets out, along with Luce and Hooty, to the edge of the world to find his people, while Lilith and Eda stay home and prepare for the final battle. Okay, so first off, out of the many adorable and honestly heart-wrenching King moments we got out of this episode, I absolutely adore that the little guy just wants to play catch with someone. I was really hoping that by the end, Luce would offer to play catch with him, but I think they're saving that for maybe the end of the series when we finally get to see King be the kid that he's always wanted to be. Speaking of heart-wrenching moments, this episode starts off with some really powerful emotions that I think are long overdue, but I'm glad they're addressing them head on rather than just going along with the action and hoping that the audience doesn't notice. As I discussed in my previous video, Luce is now starting to come to terms with being an instrumental part of Belos' rise to power and his eventual destruction of the Isles. She's once again overrun with guilt, which is sadly kind of common for Luce. She's gone through a lot since she's been on the Isles, and she's starting to let her emotions get the best of her, which makes Eda reckon with an important truth. And that is that Luce is just a kid, and that it's kind of Eda's fault that Luce is wrapped up in all of this.
I thought Luce was just some lost kid, but because of me, she's wrapped up in this thing with Belos, and it's just not fair.
Now, I don't think anybody blames Eda for this, but Eda clearly blames herself, and she actually breaks down and cries. With each passing episode, we're shown just how much they've turned into a family.
This is Luce the human / friend / sister, and this is Hooty the, door.
And I think they desperately need a chance to enjoy being a family when this is all over. Lots of really strong emotions for everybody to work through after this episode, which was the same kind of thing after last episode, so these guys really need a break. Okay, let's talk about the big reveal of the episode, and this one actually was kind of a shocker for me, although I'm sure a lot of viewers predicted this one, and it's that King isn't just any demon, King is the last of the Titans, which went extinct following hundreds if not thousands of years of being hunted by a race of witches known as the Titan Trappers at the behest of their god, whom they call the Huntsman, who is actually the Collector. So the big question for me after this reveal is, what the hell does the Collector have against the Titans? My first instinct is that the Titans are a force for good and like a balance in the demon realm, and are the stewards of magic, which kind of makes it all the more strange that King is unable to use spells the way other demons do, but I'll talk about that in a future episode. The Collector, however, seems to be a being driven by pure evil and an obsession with death. It seems to me that during an ancient battle that predates the Isles themselves, the Boiling Isles Titan fought and sealed away the Collector at the cost of its own life. This seems to be what the Collector is singing about in his creepy little song from last week's episode.
To me, who's trapped beneath these bones.
If this is true and the Collector is released during the Day of Unity and there are no fully grown Titans left to defeat him, we are in for a level of chaos and destruction not seen since Weirdmageddon. Now, there are a lot of implications about King being a Titan, but I think the most important and honestly the most terrifying is that King might now be the only source left of the increasingly important power source, Titan's blood. Just the thought of someone needing to shed King's blood to power some machine or unleash some ancient evil is enough to make me want to curl up into a ball, and he'll clearly be a major target during the war against Belos if Belos learns the truth, or if maybe he already knows, but I know Luce and Eda and the rest of the game will help protect him. We know just how powerful Titan's blood is, and that it will be a key ingredient in creating a new portal, so King will be a very, very important character for the battles to come. It's unclear whether the Titan Trappers will appear again. After all, King did destroy the portal to their home, but I wouldn't rule it out. If they do reappear, I have a strong feeling that the Titan Trappers will eventually rebel against Bill and the Collector once they learn the truth about the Titans. I also love how this episode provided us with our first look at life in the demon realm beyond the Boiling Isles.
That doesn't look like the Boiling Isles to me.
That's because it isn't.
With the Owl House quickly coming to an end, it's interesting to think about the possibility of spin-off series taking place in another part of the demon realm. And given that we most likely won't see more of the Owl House characters once the series ends, especially given that the mouse will probably retain the rights like the little greedy rodent it is, it does open the door for some interesting possibilities for shows, comics, books, and other series to happen on another platform if Dana Terrace were to choose to do so. Obviously the future remains highly uncertain, but it's a nice thought. Some small things I wanted to talk about from this episode. I loved the callback to Luce's bad luck with swords in this one.
This'll help us defeat Belos for sure.
By the power of Skullgar, I am out of brewery.
I mean, girl just wants to be a badass warrior, and the Isles are determined to make her look like a dork, but it honestly makes me love the character even more. There was a lot of Hootie abuse in this episode for you sick bastards who get a kick out of that sort of thing. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I was cracking up too. The book that Bill reads was written by Flora Desplora, Lilith's rival, and this might be hinting that she'll be an important character moving forward, either because of her knowledge of the Titans and ancient history, or because of her part in spreading lies about the Titans and wild magic. Unlike most episodes, this episode doesn't really end on a hopeful note, and is instead one of the sadder episodes that we've gotten so far. Not only does King not find his family, but he also learns that his kind were hunted to near extinction. The episode is much darker upon subsequent rewatches when you know the twist up front. The episode is essentially King spending the whole day with people who want to brutally murder him, wearing the bones of his ancestors as trophies. And as horrifying and depressing as that all is, the saddest moment for me was still at the end when King admits that he's trying to prepare himself to move on for once Luce leaves the realm.
I just thought I had to prepare for a world without you in it.
It's a heartbreaking moment, and it's made all the more painful when Luce doesn't really deny it. I was expecting her to scoop him up and tell him everything will be okay, but she can't. She still hasn't found a way to stay in the demon realm without breaking her promise or abandoning her mother, but in doing so, she'll be abandoning her new family. I know, in the end, I'm sure they'll find a way to make it work unless the Owl House crew really hates us and then they leave us with some kind of gut-punching finale. But it's sad to know just how much turmoil the characters are going through with everything that's going on. So now let's take a minute to talk about what's next for the show. This episode ends in a rather daunting way, with Coven guards surrounding the Owl House preparing to arrest anyone inside. It's hard to be too scared about the final scene because we've seen just how incompetent and goofy the Coven scouts are, but it does mean that Belos is finally preparing to make his final moves. We did get confirmation that the Day of Unity is only 1 week away, although by the looks of it, it won't actually take place until the final episode of the season. I'm really eager to see what kind of preparations Ida and Lilith have been working on. The episode strategically avoided showing what's going on inside the Owl House, so I can only imagine what kind of crazy schemes the two Clawthorne sisters cooked up together. Maybe we'll get a Harpy Lilith reveal in the next episode? No, probably not, but a guy can dream, can't he? Alright you guys, that is going to have to do it for me. What did you guys think of the episode? What do you think is in store for us with these last 4 episodes? Let me know down in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more Owl House content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.